Back again with another quick game analysis. We're going to do some guess the move with the students in class today. And we're just jumping right in. So, I was playing white against 2000 on Lee Chess. And, every now and then, on a rare occasion, best by test, 1e4. I'm typically not an e4 player, but who is? I'll play it anyway. I don't care. So the guy plays the Owens. And there I find myself going, what coach would ever teach such a bad opening to their students? It's funny because I teach it. And the Nimzo Larson. No opening is... No, I can't say that. There are bad openings. But, the Owens has a bad reputation, but it's not that bad. It transposes typically into... other lines because white doesn't spend the time to learn the extremely critical lines to just smash it. So it's playable, especially in blitz. And me, I'm like, you know what? I don't know the critical lines, even though I probably should. So just go D3. And for the King's Indian player in the room, why don't you just do this against the Owens when he plays it against you? And just gets a King's Indian attack. Pretty simple, right? I mean, not groundbreaking. Oh, it transposes. Yeah. 1000%. So, my opponent played D5 in the game. F5 is the other possibility because of the pin, but you just don't worry about it. And when I analyzed this a little bit, I was like, okay, after E5, white just has a concrete edge. Knight c4, and once you trade, black's having some trouble finishing his development, and the open f-file means little here. So, I'm going to play rook a d1 after this and just kind of squeeze. Nothing to see there, and that's what the engine liked with the f5 line. But my opponent in the game decided to go with d5. And we're just getting normal development. And already when I see knight c6, this is not normal. You typically don't want to put your knight in front of the b. And sorry, I keep playing my little minion. Because the knight's in the way. And normally when I see somebody do this, especially in blitz, it's a signal. He's telegraphing that he wants to castle queenside. Everybody understand that? Because they don't typically play knight d7 and then queen e7 to castle queenside. They want to play queen d7 because it just feels right. I don't know. But I had that feeling that's what my opponent was going for. So I go ahead and clip on d5. And I probably should have played knight f3 first. It's what the computer liked. And then played it because he has the idea of queen e7. But I've been purposefully against lower-rated players on Lee Chess. And this was an unrated game. In the unrated games, I will trade or go into endings and release tension too often to go to an equal ending, to practice outplaying opponents from an equal position. And it's good training in my opinion. It just gets you better at putting people away when it's dry and boring. And I like doing that. But my opponent didn't want to play queen e7 check. He stuck with his guns. He goes d4. Now queen d7 definitely would have made more sense. At this point, the engine already liked white by more than +2. And it doesn't seem like it should because d4 doesn't look overly that bad. Now, from this point, because we've got the opening pretty well defined, this isn't exactly a line by any means. Black has messed around some. Because I've told you, white has an edge. And to me, in the game, I just felt comfortable. I didn't know that I had a concrete edge until I analyzed afterwards. But I had an idea in this position on what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it. So, give me some candidate moves here. What's the first move you think of for white?
Castles, probably.
Castles, why?
Just your king save. There's no queen e7.
Get rid of that queen e7 idea. What about queen e2 check in comparison to castle? Anybody think of that?
I'll think about it.
He goes queen e7 though, right? and then we can't really castle, and if we take his queen, when he takes back, he develops a piece. So that's why I can rule out queen e2. Even though I wanted the endgame, I didn't want to, like, waste 2 full moves to get the endgame, so to speak. So I castled. And then when the opponent went queen d7, what do you think? Yeah, he's going to castle queenside. What is the most natural move for white here? First thing you consider. Rookie one check. Rooks are meant to go in open files. This king's stuck in the middle, so let's just give it a little tickle tickle. He goes bishop e7. This next move is not something that the engine recommended, but it is a good practical move by white. Knight e5? Yeah. And actually, the engine did like this one. I'm thinking about the next move. Or a couple moves from now. Because it's an open position, right? Good. Okay, so here's one of those situations, too, where people will often not think. They'll just play an automatic move. So what is the best square for the bishop and why? Because we need to move the bishop. Uh-huh. Yeah, of course. He's going to stay on the diagonal no matter what, but where? The specific location.
Bishop g2.
Why?
You don't have any gaps with the king.
Yeah. The bishop goes back to where it was before because it's still the best square because it covers all the holes around the king. King's completely safe. The dragon bishop is maintained. Now, he moves his knight to safety. Easy enough to understand. Now, this is the move that I played that the computer, it didn't, I want to say that my move was probably like 5th or 8th choice, but white is still maintaining like a almost +2. It was like 1.75 or something. This is the first time where you actually may have to come up with some kind of plan. And I want you to come up with a move and then see if there's a deeper intent behind it. Because I had a deeper intent behind the move when I played it, and it dictated the rest of the game. The rest of the game's pretty forcing if you find this next move. So I wanted to show this game mostly because of this one position, because it helps with planning. So, any ideas? What does b3 do? Yeah, that's fine. He just goes c5, though, when you put your bishop on b2, and he seals in the flavor of the b. Kiana?
Knight c4.
Knight c4, that was actually the computer's #1 choice. It's a natural move. It gets the knight out of the way so the bishop can get out to deadlier squares. That is not what I played in the game. Uh-huh. What's your idea?
Maybe trade off the queens and get a good bishop.
Queen f3 to trade off the queens and get a good bishop. I don't know. Like, say queen f3, knight f6, queen c6, queen takes c6, bishop takes c6. I just move my king. Or play knight d7. Seems probably king d8 is more accurate. I don't know that it accomplishes much. I do have the bishop pair. I'm probably winning that game anyway, but
Rook d2.
unnecessary. How do I play rook d2? Rook e2? To like double the rook or double on the file? It's still not enough though, because notice he's got a knight on g6 and g8. Like, okay, let me give you a hint. So his king's stuck in the middle, right? He needs knight f6 and castles to get safe, and then I just have the bishop pair in an open position as my only advantage. So do we have any move? Uh-huh.
Knight e4.
What does knight e4 do?
It attacks the knight when it moves.
So after knight e4, if knight f6, when I capture it, he can't take back with a bishop. And then he's stuck in the middle, right? So I play knight e4 because it's an annoying move. Engine didn't like this move as much as it did knight c4. Knight c4 is natural. Knight e4 is playing for a trick, but there's nothing wrong with it. So it's one of those things with the evaluation of a position. I would much rather play a move like knight e4 that doesn't hurt me and I still maintain an edge and it's still doing what I want it to do, but it's got a subtle trick in it. So the guy plays knight of 6. We capture, ruins the pawn structure. Now what's the most accurate move after this?
Bishop H6, take advantage.
Bishop H6. Now he's stuck in the middle. And then if I had the move with white again, what would my follow-up move be? Nick?
Bishop G7.
Yeah.
Bishop G7, so when the rook moves, I can take on F6, exploiting the pin. Very good. So he plays rook G8. Now, where's the tension in the position?
E file.
Everything's on the E file, so what's a natural move to keep putting more pressure?
Queen E2.
Queen E2. Now, if I had a bunch of moves, I'm looking at like H4, H5 to make the knight move. But then my opponent, who can't castle with his rooks on the G and B, and an extremely awkward position, plays F5 and makes matters even worse. Because I can continue to add more pressure to the E file. And then he decides to try to run. So we clip. Now what is the most accurate move for white?
Bishop F6.
Bishop F6. You're cheating again.
Oh no, Bishop C6.
Bishop C6, he can take you 2 different ways. For free.
Oh shit.
Yeah, don't do free stuff. And the game's over in like less than 5 moves at this point. So find some accurate moves here.
Queen H5.
What does Queen H5 do?
Bunch of weaknesses.
Attacks all the weaknesses. Queen H5, good. Because he can't defend everything.
He's just gonna lose.
So he goes C6. What's the best pawn to take, H or F?
F.
Because it hits the knight as well. And it keeps a pin.
Limited
Because,
options again.
yep, limiting options. Very good. He goes King C7. What's the best move?
Rook takes knight.
Rook takes knight, and he resigned. Now, it only looks good from my side of the board because my opponent helped me to make it look good by making more mistakes. But it was all started from that catalyst with knight e4. And the reason I wanted to show this game and do this kind of mini lesson with you guys is, like, one review on my Alekhine book really put into perspective of how I process as a player. And he was like, I really love Tillis' analysis, and this is from an FM that works for Chessable, because he recommends constantly nettlesome lines. And I've loved that word ever since, nettlesome, because it sets problems for your opponent constantly. And you guys need to get better at doing that, because if you're just developing and you're just going off of what we've memorized from an opening, as soon as you get out of the opening, you could still sometimes be on autopilot and you just get crushed. But notice how knight e4, it set those practical problems for the opponent. You need to start looking for those moves more and more, because those are the things that can win games quickly. And the follow-up was very natural afterwards. So, hopefully you enjoyed it.